I was away most of the day today, so I'm not as caught up with news as I usually am. So I just kind of glanced at the headlines, and apparently Time Magazine named its Man of the Year, and it was polio. Apparently, polio is the Man of the Year per
Oh,
Time Magazine. I don't know. Maybe I read it wrong. It's going very quickly. Uh, you know, I don't I don't know. We're living in a very weird
very
timeline, I
weird
think.
time.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're rooting for this comeback, but
it's the comeback
apparently
nobody wants.
it's the comeback nobody wants.
Now, I mentioned Time Magazine, and time is going to be a theme of this episode
Yeah.
because we appreciate you watching us and spending your time with us, giving your time to us. And we've been thinking a lot about time and how to manage time and what to do with our time remaining between now and January 20th. And you had an experience this week that was kind of positive.
I did.
So you
I
want to
had a
tease
great
it a little bit? We'll to talk about it later.
we'll
But
talk about it later. I had a great night. I was invited by a friend. It is we've done it a couple years now. Hopefully we can keep doing it. But it's on her good graces to invite me. So I was just a guest at the event. It's the RFK, the actual Robert Kennedy, and as Kerry Kennedy made a point right off the top of the event, not my brother. Um, Ripple of Hope Awards, which is the foundation is dedicated and committed to human rights and fighting for and advocating for human rights around the globe. And what they do is, with their resources and their time, is raise raise money to not just identify where human rights violations are happening, but hire and pay the lawyers to go and fight for human rights, for these causes using the court system. So there's actual measurable results, and they don't lose their court cases. It's so it's quite a foundation, and of course, Ethel Kennedy passed away this past year, so this was the first gala of annual event since her passing. So there was quite a bit of it that was remembering her, rightfully so. And I believe it's now, announced that it's being renamed the Robert and Ethel Kennedy Foundation Ripple of Hope Awards from here on out. So it was, look, it's always a fascinating evening when you actually are connected to, even if you're just in the audience, foundations like this that do this level of work internationally. And so it's always fascinating. It's always fascinating and interesting people. But it was a very different vibe this year. Um, a lot, just many layers. And we were all, I would say, the folks around me at the table, I was with had amazing table mates and incredible conversations. It was just a different level of discourse, and happening both on the stage with people speaking to us and amongst one another, just sort of processing the moment in time that we're in and what sort of what our takeaways were of the evening, what was starting to percolate and form there. Some stuff was happening there. So I wanted to
it's going to
talk
be
about that. We'll
interesting.
save that for
It's going to
the
be
end
interesting.
of
It's going to
the
be interesting to hear about.